Take notice to the up jab being used. I'm using it in all three rotations with the knuckle down, the knuckle up, and down the middle. My right hand is glued to my head as I'm throwing the punch at a 90-degree angle, and I'm in constant motion. As I've taught my students in the past and in the current present day, boxing is dynamic with constant movement. At the moment, I'm moving my feet as well as my head and my body. I'm using a multitude of different types of slips, from U-slips to boxer squares to circles. I punch and move, I move and punch. At the moment I just threw an inside one, a double inside one. Take notice to how my right hand does not come off my head. My elbow is in line with my torso. I'm stepping in on punch one. My left hand comes back to my head after each punch. Those are consecutive ones. I continually attack from different angles. I'm using lateral movement by rolling out to the left and the right. I'm using defensive positionings prior to the hit, during the hit, and after the hit. I just threw a 555. My hand came back to my head after each consecutive punch. On the 3, my elbow is level and my forearm is level to the ground. Take notice how my right hand does not come off my head, and I made an immediate turn left after the punch, and then I rolled right with a shoulder roll. 153. A distant hook. Distant hook from the up position. My left hand does not come outside my torso. Distant hook with a left turn at the end. I'm in a rhythm and a bounce. Stick and move. Take notice how my left hand comes back to my head. My right hand doesn't move, and I throw prior to arriving at the bag. As soon as I land, I pull back. Using ones circular to the left and to the right. I punch and hit at the same time. Using the up jab. Using the up jab with the knuckle up. Reverse U-slip. Using the up jab, knuckle across. Now we're going into 2-punch combinations. The second punch will be coming hard and fast. I'm in a rhythm and I'm in a bounce. A double 2. My right hand comes back to my head. 6. Double 6. I recover after each punch. Triple 6. After each punch, full recoveries. My left hand didn't move. 4. My elbow and arm were level to the ground. Double 4. Hands come back to my head. Rolling out with a 2 with boxer's head movement. I'm light on my toes. I'm constantly bouncing. My feet stay apart throughout the entire hit and movement. I'm keeping a heel to toe stance. And I'm up on my toes with my heels raised. Notice how my feet are always separate. They never come together. When my heels are a little lower, I'm sitting on the punch, putting more power on my punches. 1-4. Distant hook 2. Distant hook up position 2. Once again, I'm in the defensive move prior to hitting and after hitting. 6-4. My left hand doesn't move off my head. 2-6. Bouncing my chest, bouncing my shoulders. Boxer's head movement. Stick and move 1-2. Notice my 1-2 is thrown out like a battering ram or a joust prior to my target. My hands come right back on my head. As soon as the 2 landed, I move backward. Now I'm going to use 3-punch combinations. 1-2-3 from the low position, not recommended for an amateur or a beginner. Boxer squares. 1-2-1, my hands come back to my head, my elbows are in line with my pelvis. Punches are straight and direct. Continuing to round 3, I open up with 3-punch combinations. 1-2-3. A merger has taken place in this round. The merger is I'm doing defense prior to the hit, after the hit, and during the hit. I'm fully warmed up at this point. So I'm moving as I'm throwing. The hands come back to my forehead, my temples to my cheek. It's like a mental clue as I touch myself, knowing that my hands are where they're supposed to be to protect myself. 1, overhand right, 2, exit to the left. 1-6-5. 1-4-3. The punches are tight and compact. 6-5, 4-3 are all 6-inch tight punches. Distant hook low position 2. Roll right. Up jab 2. Double up jab 2. I'm hitting from a multitude of angles. I'm moving after the hit. I'm in a rhythm and a bounce so that my opponent, which is the bag at the moment, does not know where I'm going to attack from next. Turn left, boxer's head movement, come back in. Six, rolled right. This round, the movement is picked up in my body. I'm moving at a faster pace. 1-5-3, inside 2. Now I'm throwing a 3-punch combination. 1-1-2. 1-1-1-2. Take notice how each time I threw the 1, it came back to my head. 1 overhand right, double 5, turn left. And I slip slightly to my left on the overhand right. 1-2-1 from the low position. 1-2-1 from the low position again. All inside punches. My hands are back on my head, my elbows are in line with my torso. In this last round, I'm going to use 4- and 5-punch combinations. I'm using an up jab with all 3 rotations finished by a 2. This next move, I'm going to move to the right after the hit with boxer's head movement and rolling out. One, 5, 3, 2, 1. Reverse U-slips, forward U-slips. Pulling back, rolling left. Very short, compact punches. Slips, U-slips. Exiting. Hands come back on the head and on the body on the tight inside closed punches. Because I'm on the inside at the moment. And I create my distance. Create my angle. Each punch, the hand comes back to the head. Defensive moves prior to hitting. Defensive moves as I'm hitting. Defensive moves like a U-slip, rolled left, rolled right. Backpedaling, bouncing. Reverse U-slip, boxer's head movement, rolled left on an exit. Picking up the foot speed, playing with my opponent. Where am I going to attack from next? U-slip, roll left, roll right. Circling the bag left. Step right, turn left. My left shoulder lines up on point with the bag. Step right, turn left again. Left shoulder points to the bag. Notice I don't turn my head. Forward U-slip. Lateral U-slip. I don't turn my head to look for the bag. Never breaking my stance. Shoulder bounce, rhythm. Throwing punches from the low position. Lateral U-slips. Circling. 1-2 from the low position. Boxer's head movement, turn left. U-slipping. Creating my angles, creating my exits. In a constant movement. I'm a moving target. I'm not there to be hit. My hands are in line with my torso. They're in front of my body. 1-2 from the up position. More power on the punch. U-slip. Turn, made the exit. Roll. I do not turn my head to the bag. I cannot emphasize that more. My feet take me in position to my opponent, allowing me to always be on point. Wherever the bag is, I'll put the arm up as I slip it. I'm on the inside at that moment. Lateral U-slip. Backpedaling. Bouncing. Shuffling. 1-2, forward U-slip. 1-2. Boxer's movement. Boxer's movement. Hands down, not recommended for an amateur or a beginner. I alternate. I put my hands up when I'm on the inside in the bag, simulating my opponent is next to me, and sometimes I don't. I practice from all different angles and styles. U-slip, turn left, forward U-slip, lateral U-slip, turn right. Boxer's head movement. I'm going to begin with 1-6, and then I'll be going into 1-4 at the midway point. Notice the 6 is straight from my hip. Linear movement, following my target in and out. Keeping distance between my legs. Make the angle with the slip, hit. 6, following the power, rolling to the right. I'm still in a bounce, I'm still in a rhythm. Notice how my punches are in line to my torso and straight to my opponent. I'm using boxer's head movement in circles. Keeping that right shoulder in the back, staying on point. Acting as if my left shoulder had eyes, and it was an infrared beam to my target. That right shoulder is in the back. Separation between my legs. I do not bring the feet together. As soon as I come into my opponent to hit, my hands get raised to my head. My hands are down. I've got separation between my opponent and myself. Linear movement, following my opponent forward, backward. U-slip, 1-4. Create the angle and then I hit. And I exit it after that. Still in a rhythm, still in a bounce. I pick up the foot speed. Lateral U-slip, 4. Following my power to the right. My right hand goes up to protect my face. Rhythm and bounce, constantly moving. My 4 is level. Forward U-slip, lateral U-slip, turn right. A U-slip as an exit after the punch. My hands are down because my opponent is not near. As soon as I get near the opponent, my hands go up on my 4s. At the moment, I'm not using up jabs, I'm using punch 1. Therefore, my hand comes from my face. Boxer's head movement along with circles. My right shoulder is in the back at all times. I do not turn my head to see my opponent. My left shoulder takes my eyes where they need to be. In this third and final round, I pick up the foot speed, as you can see. I also go into 3-punch combinations freestyle. Rhythm, bounce. 1-5-3, forward U-slip. My right hand was protecting my face on my exit. 1-1-1, coming straight from the hip, elbow was in front of my torso. My right hand is glued to my head. 1-5-3, reverse U-slip, pull back. Left shoulder on point to my target. One, 2-1 from the hip. Once again, not recommended for a beginner or an amateur. 2-1-2 from the hip. When I raise my hands, I'll go into more power punching. 1-2-1. Elbows in line with my pelvis. Coming straight from my torso. More power on my punches. 1-2-5. After the hit, I constantly make a defensive move and use my feet to take me out of range, as well as put me at an angle to create another hit or to not be hit. One, 6-5. Punches are coming from my hip, in line with my torso. 1-4-3. Reversed out with a U-slip. Rolling right with shoulder movement. Shuffling. Rolling to the left. Shuffling to the right with shoulder movement. Backpedaling. Bouncing. Distant hook. 2-3. Lineal movement in and out. Slip. 1-2-1. Straight punches. Path of least resistance and quickest to my target. Inside 2-1-2. Tight, compact punches. Shuffling. On the inside punches, I'm moving my body with the punch. Following the punch. in a defensive posture, also creating more power. 1, 2, 1, inside, U-slip. The hands stay inside the torso on the movement. Forward U-slip. My right hand is on my face. My left shoulder is pointing toward my target. My chin is down. Lateral U-slip. I'm staying on point throughout the lateral U-slip. Circles. Trying to keep my right shoulder in the back of my body. Chin is down. Staying as tight to that bag as I possibly can. I like to practice with my hands up as well as my hands down. It is not recommended to practice with the hands down for an amateur or a beginner. I like to practice on a stationary target to warm up and then go into my moving target. Forward U-slips, now we go into lateral U-slips with a little bit of shoulder movement. A little bit of hand blocks. Circles. Shoulder movement, hands up sometimes, hands down sometimes. I like to mix it up. Boxer's head movement, squares and increments. Staying tight to the bag. Trying to keep my movements as short, tight, and compact as I possibly can. Now I incorporate footwork. I'll be doing slips, lateral U-slips, forward U-slips, boxer's head movement, and circles. As well as turning left, turning right, and step turning left, step turning right. My chin is down, I never look back at the bag. I create angles and I create distance. My left shoulder takes my eyes where they need to be. As if there was a camera on my shoulder with an infrared beam directly to my target, keeping my chin in line. Forward U-slip, I reversed out. This is an extremely important bag. It's known as a slip bag or a maze bag, maze ball, depending on the trainer. It's used as a defensive tool to practice head movement. In my opinion, this bag is the most valuable piece of equipment in the gym. I'm actually employing defensive movement prior to even coming up to the bag. As I said earlier, I'm constantly in motion, boxing is dynamic, and I'm a moving target, not there to be hit. As a moving target, even if you are hit, you're able to roll punches. They don't land solidly and cleanly. You're generally moving away from the punch. In the last 3 rounds, I'm going to be hitting the speed bag. I'm going to hit it in 3 different types of methods. This first method is actual speed bag work, with that constant rat-a-tat-tat movement. Take notice that my feet are still moving. As I continually say to the students, as well as everyone on this workout DVD, boxing is dynamic. As my arms and hands are moving, so are my feet. I'm doing what's called over-under hits at the moment. Notice my elbows are in and pointed downward. My hands keep coming back to the face. I'm running in place. I'm shuffling. Now I'm punching the bag across the fist. I'm rolling to the left and to the right, using the left and the right hand, alternating. Keeping my feet separate, not bringing them together. The hand that is not hitting is up at my face, protecting my face. My elbows are in. I'm running in place. Punching the bag. Still in a bounce and in a rhythm. This is called double hits. I'm hitting the bag at the same time with both hands, holding my hands to my right, crossing one fist over the other. And I alternate that from leading with the left to leading with the right. I'm in a different type of movement now. I'm actually employing dumping my shoulder in as I hit, and I'm tapping with my feet. At this point, I still have not stopped moving with the exception of the double hits. I've picked up the pace, bringing my hands back to my head. I'm hitting the bag faster, but not necessarily harder. Trying to keep my elbows pointed down as best I can. Trying to bring the hands back to my face. In this next round, I'm going to box the bag. So I'm going to employ all the boxing techniques that I've done previously on this workout DVD. Using a distant hook at the up position with a left turn. Finishing on point, my left arm, inside my torso. Inside 1-2. Double 1. Triple 1. My hand comes back to my head and I only drop my hands when I break contact with my opponent by stepping back just slightly out of range. Still in a rhythm and in a bounce. 2. Notice the pivot. Double 2. One pivot with 2 increments. 3. Double 3. My right hand does not move. Double 3 with a left turn, finishing on point with my hands up. 4. Double 4. My arm is level on the hit. Stepped in on a 1. Stationary. 1-2 from the low position. 1-2 from the up position. Moving in on a 1-2 with defense. Stick and move. Separation between the legs. I hit prior to coming in. On throwing my 2, I pull back immediately, using some fakes. Speed. One, 2, turning right on the 2. 1-2, turning left. 1, stepping in on a 3. Distant hook 2. Take notice, this is the only time I miss in this whole workout. and I come right back and nail it, which was a distant hook 2. Inside 1, 2. My hands come back to my head. My feet are aligned heel to toe. Take notice to my buttocks. I'm dumping it on the punch. My elbows are inside the torso and the recoveries are there. Look in the mirror at the left hand. Look at the right hand. They continually come back to my head and I'm moving left to right, horizontally, laterally to develop power. Explosive, short, little punches.
Frank, go tight a bit.
In this last round, I'm going to use a technique called trapping the bag. It defies gravity. The speed bag wants to hang down. With this technique, we pin the speed bag to the backboard. And we release rapidly. As I'm throwing my 1, my 2 is on my head, as well as on my body. I use doubles and triples. I'm employing all of my defensive techniques as I'm trapping the bag, such as forward U-slips, lateral U-slips, boxer's head movement, which is squares, circles, slips, turns to the left as well as the right, and step turns to the left and the right. I'm in a rhythm and I'm in a bounce. These punches are thrown hard and rapidly. That was a double 2. Continually slip around the bag and under the bag, creating angles on my exits and coming in at angles for my attacks. I punch the bag from a stationary position and I punch the bag as I'm moving as well. Trying not to be in the same place twice. One, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4, 3. 4, 3, 4. Lateral U-slip, reverse U-slip out. 5, 1. 1, 5, 1 has a moving. My right hand was on my head. 2, 6, 2. 5, 2. 2, 6, 1. 5, 5, 5 from a forward position and then from an in tight position. What that means is the speed bag is attacked from a distance and then it's attacked when it's closest to me. I do the same thing with 6, 6, 6. I hit it while it's away and then I hit it while it's close. 5, 6, 5 and 6, 5, 6. Here it is evident all the different defenses that I use. From circles to squares, forward and reverse U-slips.
30 seconds.
In the last segment, I'm going to let the hand speed go, more of a freestyle where I'm throwing multiple punches rapidly, keeping my hands up at all times and then doing a defensive move at the same time as I'm hitting or directly after. There I was doing defense prior to attacking.